Yeah, well, fuck. Speaking of strikers, Timo Werner, we'll get into later on. But, Timo.
Did you did you see the picture of him pointing to the badge and he missed it?
When he missed?
No, at the end of the game, he was like went up to the fans. He was pointing to the
Yeah.
badge, but he missed the badge. He was pointing like above it.
Of course he did. Oh my god, he's a comedic character. We couldn't write a better character than Timo Werner, with his like innocent lisp as well. It's just like, oh, this guy's hopeless.
He's so friendly and happy. He's doomed.
No, honestly, that is nonsense. Nonsense. All nonsense. But listen, I've been on that road before. Nonsense. Talking nonsense. Why should we accept somebody talking nonsense? Like, what would you say? Just why are you talking nonsense about us? Why are you talking rubbish?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a No Nonsense podcast with Cathal and Will. Champions League final review. You've been waiting for it, and here we are. You may not have been looking forward to the game, but it was a great game. Now, we will say that we told you last episode we were getting saucy. We're getting our party on for the first time in a long while, and full disclosure, we missed the game. I would say
pretty
much missed the game.
It was like we were. It was like we were in a pub that was showing the game without having any interest in the game. It's like being in the pubs when rugby is on and you're kind of like looking at it, but you don't care.
We're probably about 20 metres away from the TV. We're outside at a friend's house. I think it was all above board legally in terms of social...
Yeah, I think so. When they're outdoors.
We're not incriminating ourselves, are we?
I don't think so.
If we aren't, I don't think we're in too much danger. Let's just put it that way. But even if we are, if there are any guards listening... I think it was all above board, but we had a friend's house. He was a Chelsea fan. The host was a Chelsea fan. So we were all Chelsea fans for the night, so that was good crack. But in terms of watching the game, it's just something about the sun and beer. It's a great combination. And the background noise of a game was great too. But like I say, we were about 20 minutes away from it. We could have gone inside and watched the game, but it was too sunny. We don't know how many of these sunny days we're going to get, so we had to make the most of it. So we were drinking outside, arguing about football things, but like not related to the game itself. But as the committed journalists / podcasters that we are, we went back and we watched the games ourselves. So we have seen the games, we just didn't see it live. So we kind of watched it, know what was going to happen. And that was, I think, the weirdest bit for me, because I was waiting for the goal to come because I knew how the goal happened. And the same thing happened over and over again. Like that combination between Mount and Chilwell down that wing. I was like, oh, here comes the goal. Oh, no, it's later on, isn't it? Like, it was happening a few times, and City had not copped that there's a huge hole in the midfield
it was like,
where defensive midfield should be.
It was like when Pep did up the team sheet, he forgot someone, and then like they all went out, and probably Roger and Fernandinho are sitting like, how many players does he send out? I don't think he realised.
I think it was like...
There was just a hole in the team, like.
I think it was like Dawson, or whatever, for Tottenham. And sometimes in the match notes, the match program, they do like their all-time Tottenham team or whatever. If they're like, and he put 11 players outfield. He forgot the goalie, and he's like, yeah, there's 11 players. Like, and he just completely forgot the goalie. That's what it reminded me of. But like, we were taking the piss last week, saying like, Pep has finally proven he's smarter than me because he's got the Champions League final out of a striker, and then he must have heard the podcast. Obviously, he listens. And he said, yeah, you know what, I am smarter than Cathal finally, and I'm going to play...
Watch this.
I'm going to go one step further. And like that was just, the Guardiola utopia of 5'7" midfielders and nobody else. You know what I mean? Like, we don't need any defensive reinforcements. Yes, we'll have two centre-backs, but that's it. Everyone else is going to be flying forward and passing back and forth and passing the goal. Like, it was working so well. Like, the Sterling... Or not Sterling, against Sterling starting, but like the front three, will say, of De Bruyne's a false nine, and then you had Mahrez and Foden. I thought the first game against PSG, I was like, that's not working. The second game, they were flying forward. It was working perfectly. I was like, that is why he is, the great manager, because most managers look at the team and go, look, you got Foden, you got De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Gundogan. I can't play them all. But he did. He found a way to play them all, and they were working well and scoring goals. I was like, fuck, like, that's a really good team. I can't see them being beaten. I couldn't see them being beaten, literally, because I couldn't see him not playing the team the way he did last day. But he did. Like,
well, remember City played Chelsea in the league, and we were kind of like, but he's not going to play the real City team because he's going to keep that secret. What he should have done was played the City team that he plays the whole time. He kept it too secret.
Yeah.
And Tuchel prepared for a much harder team than he actually came up against. So it was easy.
Well, like, the only goal in the game was that one where, like, say, Mount and Chilwell down that wing, and then Mount just, like, a huge big gap. Like, Timo, I mean, look, on this show, we love Timo Werner, because what's not to love, you know?
Yeah.
And he led the line well, I'll give him that. He made that space by bringing Diaz wide, and then you had Havertz cutting in, who had the legs on Zinchenko. But that's where Fernandinho or Rodri should have been. Like, there's been 3 games all year where they haven't played Fernandinho or Rodri. And look, this is you again. Well, this is Mystic Will. You put Fernandinho your team of the year.
Team of the year.
You said Liverpool make top 4. I laughed that out the gate. You said Newcastle 2 beats go down. I laughed you out of that one as well. I mean, if you're Fernandinho, you're raging.
Yeah.
Like, this was my chance to win the Champions League, and you dropped me. And not
Aguero as well.
Well, whatever Aguero, he hasn't been playing all year. But like, if you're thinking it's between me and Rodri, right? I'm the more experienced man. I had a great game last night against Everton. You know, 36. He probably won't get a chance again. And then, look, if you'd been dropped for Rodri, you would have said, look, that's life. It came a bit late for me. If it happened 3 or 4 years earlier, I would have started.
You're dropped for nobody.
You're dropped for nobody. We're going to play Gundogan in that role. It's like, what? And then you lose because there's a huge gap in the middle that Mason Mount can put down the middle. It's like, Jesus. Like, all those City players are probably raging, thinking, we should have won that game. Like, they look at that team thinking, you got fucking Jorginho, Sarri's man from years ago. You got Mason Mount, fucking Lampard's man. Whether that's true or not, that's what you're thinking. You're thinking, we're being the best. They're 19 points behind in the table. And we show up and they drop our defense. Pep drops our defensive midfielders. Like, you're thinking, this dude, like, what's he at?
I remember a few weeks ago we were saying how, like, the narrative is going to be United and City both win in Europe, 2 European champions.
Yeah, exactly.
But then Pep really followed Ollie's footsteps in just absolutely blowing it. Just making the weirdest decisions.
Yeah.
Going out of his way to make things hard on himself. Like, it was bizarre.
Well, the difference being, one, that it's meant to be Pep Guardiola and the best manager. Like, all that, the narrative beforehand was like, I saw lots of graphics of Ferguson and Guardiola side by side saying, you know, as he surpassed him as the greatest manager. And Chelsea were just like, oh yeah, and they're the team they're going to beat on the day. Whereas, I mean, Ollie is like, yeah, nice guy, but doesn't have it upstairs in terms of, you know, tactical knowledge. And then he's like, yeah, and he just showed that. That's what everyone's been saying. Whereas Pep did the opposite. He did too much. He was trying to be too clever, and he was like, oh, he's done it again. He's tried to be too clever again. Like, if he just, I think everyone's in agreement, or before the game anyways, it was, if he plays his best team, like the team has been playing, they're better than Chelsea.
Walk it. Yeah.
And they'll win. And for whatever reason, I don't know what he was thinking, like, look, we were saying when United dropped Fred because of injury, and you play Pogba there, thinking, whoa, we'll see how that goes. But I think Ollie at the time was like, look, they're not going to offer that much midfield. Can you imagine if Villarreal had Kante in the middle and you did it without having a player injured? You just did it voluntarily, said, we'll see how good Kante is without someone to stop him. Like, what is the galaxy brain thinking of Pep to do that?
And you have to think, if it was Ollie who made that decision, could you imagine what would be said about him in the press and stuff? He'd be like, they were calling for his head because De Gea missed the 11th substitute or 7th penalty. Like, yeah, that was much less. You can't do it every year. He blows it every year. Like,
it was crazy looking at it, and I think a lot of it is down to Pep. But Chelsea were excellent too. Like, they really, and really, you know, Kante, 4-man matches in the row, Champions League semi-final, final. Like, he's unbelievable, and I saw people calling from thinking he's probably the stand up for the Ballon d'Or this year.
Yeah, that'd be good. I think he does definitely deserve
it. Well, depending on how France do, if France win the World Cup,
Yeah.
he has it sewn up, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
You win the Champions League and the
Yeah.
World Cup in the same year as the best player, and again, if he's playing alongside Pogba and possibly Moussa Sissoko in the middle for France, and they win it, he will have to be the best player on the pitch. So he will definitely have earned it. It's kind of like when they were saying last year. It's like if Kawhi Leonard wins with the Spurs and wins with Toronto and wins with the Clippers, like he has to win with the Clippers. Like it's not done yet. So I mean, we are saying Kante to win the World Cup. It's a long shot. I know they have a good team, France, but like it's a long road to win the I was saying the World Cup, not the World Cup, the Euros. What am I talking about? Sorry, the Euro. If you win the Euros, it's still the same thing. But yeah, no, Chelsea were excellent. It was made easier for them. But, it's still a good City team. But they're on top the whole game. I mean, Chilwell, I think, in the left-back power rankings, like, just by virtue of winning versus Shaw's losing. I don't think Shaw had a bad game, but I think that might get him that starting lineup for England.
Well, it seemed like it definitely helped the right-back power rankings.
Oh, let's get into that.
Because now Trent is getting left at home.
I saw those reports, yeah.
That's insane.
And you know it's true, because this is exactly the kind of pussy move that Gareth Southgate would do. He'd leak the information out so that people can...
There's been Jesse Lingard also, it's coming out, isn't making the team today.
And Ward-Prowse as well.
Just like, here's the massive squad, and then just like week by week he just goes to a different journalist and goes, Wan-Bissaka's not going.
Like, he that's exactly the kind of move like... It's so unfair to them. I mean, I know we're getting sidetracked a little bit, but like for those players, like he is literally just saying who plays well in the Champions League final, and I'll pick them because he knows that people go on recency bias. You know what I mean? It's listen, you had the entire year to look, you had the entire 2 years to look at them. You should know by now who's the best player, who you want in your team.
Yeah, you're still cutting and deciding now, like a week before.
Like if you're a manager, you should know who the players are good enough or not. You shouldn't be thinking, well, we'll see how he plays in this game. It's like, what about the other 38 games he played this year? Well, I think United played 60 games this year.
Something like that. Yeah.
And a lot of teams did, because a lot of the top 6 teams got very far in the competition. So I mean, it is on top of like losing a Champions League final. Now you look at the prospect of getting dropped because Pep didn't play Fernandinho. You're like, fuck me. But I do think that'll be an issue, like for those, because Pep is like notoriously, after the game he's like talking to players and like, I want you to go here or there. It's like, that's all great when you win it. You know what I mean? But like when he does some of that and he overthinks it, and then the next day you go and train and he's like, I want you to put your left foot in front of your right foot, and your right foot in front of your left foot. You're like, fuck this dude, like trying to micromanage everything. Like I say, when you're winning you can maybe accept it, but like I'd say they're raging. You'd have to be raging for your City.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what happened, Kyle? The quadruple talk.
Oh, well.
It happened. They did it again.
Yeah. As
soon as that came out, it started unraveling again, as always.
It's tough to get the quadruple. I would have counted it as a treble. I mean, now I don't know if it even counts as a double. It's even worth saying the double. It's a weird nuance in my justification for what the trebles/doubles are. But I think they'll just take the league this year and say, look, it's what it is. Let's not get carried away here calling it the double. There's no need for that. But yeah, Chelsea were excellent, and it's funny because like all you've been hearing about the limitations of the 3-4-3. Yeah, is it or 3-5-3? It depends. Like, or 5 at the back. Sometimes you switch to 5 at the back, and people say, it gets found out, as it did with Sheffield this year, and as it did with Ireland. It's like, it works for maybe 1 or 2 games. But like, that is the formation that Tuchel has switched to. That's completely turned Chelsea around. It's like, maybe it's just good players. Maybe.
Like it's hard. You can't really compare Sheffield and Ireland to Chelsea's squad. Like,
but that's it. Like, but they say, it's just a formation. It gets found out. You know what I mean? It's very limited. It's like they had a striker that couldn't score in this one. Timo. This is what I was thinking about Timo. Remember earlier on in the season, I think the peak of it was when he missed that chance against North Macedonia and they lost. And he fell to his knees, and I was like, I'm not having flashbacks to Fernando Torres here. This is exactly the kind of shit that used to happen to him, and it's exactly how he used to react. And I said at the time, he needs a sports psychologist or he's going to end up like him, and he's going to just fade into obscurity. And since then, he's had like, every time he misses, like he's right back up again, and he's like kicking the next ball wide. Yeah. And like he had two glorious chances, like the one that came right across the penalty box, and he missed. He totally missed and hit his standing leg, and it was eventually cleared.
Like a cartoon.
There was one that it came like it kind of got caught under his feet, so he had to like stumble and kind of barely weakly kicked at the keeper. It was like, again, that one maybe unlucky. So at the start I was like, oh yeah, he's Torres. He's going to lose all faith in himself, and we're never going to see the great player again. But the fact that he keeps going, and I want to play a clip now of him after the game.
To win the Champions League.
Everything. I think you can't win something else who is bigger in a club football. And yeah, it's brilliant how we won it today. We were in the first half, we wanted, second half was only defending, and we did so well, and we are so happy.
I want to ask you, before the game, everybody spoke about Chelsea being the underdog, Manchester City is the favourite. Did that give you more determination to win the game, do everything to win it?
I don't understand the question, but I don't care. We win the trophy, everything good, and yeah, next question.
So, like, that doesn't seem like a man who's missed two sitters in the Champions League final. You know what I mean? Like, he's moved on from that immediately. I think he must have got some kind of sports psychologist. And he said, listen, don't count the misses. You know, count the goals. That's what people count at the end of the season. No one's talking about your you know, this isn't about how you miss. But what that reminded me then of was, do you remember when Suarez came first to Liverpool? He came in January when they sold Torres, and he was the replacement, and he like came like a house on fire, started scoring goals in that second half, and then it was like, oh yeah, Suarez is going to be right like Torres again. You know what I mean? We're going to be right back to it. And he couldn't score for love or money. I think Liverpool hit the post more than anybody else that season. Yeah. Suarez was just like, he couldn't score. And I remember on Super 6, is it Lee Tomlinson or whatever? You know, the Liverpool guy, he was like constantly like pro Liverpool or whatever. And like Jeff was like always pro, and I'm like, what? Why do you think that Luis Suarez fella isn't any good, huh?
Yeah, what's that?
And he was like, he's not a goal scorer. He's not someone who's going to like score like lots of goals in his career. Like, he's someone who like runs lines and like creates space for the people. And Jeff's like, well, it says here he scored 25 goals in the Dutch league. I mean, that seems like a goal scorer to me, Tomo. It's like, yeah, but he's not a goal scorer. Like, he was bending himself backward to defend Luis Suarez, saying, no, that's not his game. And I've heard a few people saying that about Werner, saying, yeah, look, he might be able to, you know, run the lines and he could play out wide and create chances. But like, he scored goals in Leipzig.
He scored crazy goals in Leipzig. Didn't he have like a 40-goal season or something mad like that?
I think he definitely scored like 25 goals for Leipzig in the Bundesliga. So it's one of those things where people will just judge on this issue and go, oh yeah, that's not really his game. It's like,
that's him. Yeah.
It is his game, and the fact that he isn't shying away from it, and he's much more of a Suarez type figure than a Torres type figure when it comes to missing the chances. I think he would come good because he has all the physical attributes. He's absolutely rapid. The only difference is Liverpool didn't have the finances to replace Suarez at that point.
Yeah, they were trapped with him. They couldn't go change and things.
Whereas Lukaku heavily linked with Chelsea. Yeah. If Lukaku had been playing that game, they would have been 3-0 up in the first half.
Yeah,
because I took the liberty of watching all Lukaku's goals this year for Inter Milan.
It's like he heard us at the start of the season.
well to be fair, he has been scored the last 2 seasons. He scored a rake of goals. I was like, I wonder what those goals are like, and they're exactly like the goal, like that one that Leo missed where he skied us, or just totally airballed it, hit off his leg. He scored so many of those goals just inside the penalty box in the right place. You might say it's a tap in, but like, you can see Timo not tapping it in. So there's that one, and then the one that Timo put in the side net, a classic Lukaku goal for Inter Milan. Like, that is exactly how he plays. And it's Chelsea, it's not Liverpool. So you've had a bad season, Timo, let's be honest, by goal scoring. You've led the line well. Oh, hang on there.
It's Timo.
Hello?
That's all good.
So yeah, I was talking about Timo Werner and Lukaku coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, because it is Chelsea, and if a player is linked, more often than not, they do get him.
Yeah.
So you'd fear for Timo's future there. He seems in high spirits after the Champions League final, but I don't know if he'll still be there.
He might be in high spirits because he knows he got to win it right before it's all over.
Yeah. Who knows? I mean, he did have a good game, and like I say, in terms of creating the space for the goal, and that was definitely the game plan. Part of the game plan, I'm sure, would have been him kicking one of those chances in. But look, all is well that ends well for him.
On the tactic board, it just says, "Please try, Timo. Do your best.
Do your level best." Yeah. Well, I mean, the other person who had a great game for Chelsea, Rudiger. What an impact he had.
Literally, yeah. A
really strong impact, particularly on Kevin De Bruyne's face. I mean, I don't know what it's easy to say in hindsight when you break a man's face, like you break his orbital bone and you break his nose, that it should have been sending off. Like it was pretty. Like it was one of those ones.
It did, yeah. It didn't seem too.
At the time,
on purpose.
It happens all the time. Like someone's going past you and you step across. Now the consequences were that he really, really hurt him, and it was a really dangerous tackle, and he, could be out for the Euros.
Yeah.
Apparently he's going to be fine, but like if Kevin De Bruyne played for your country, you'd say the same thing. You'd be saying no matter what it takes, we'll get on the pitch. But like,
and also Kevin De Bruyne, whose whole thing is his vision.
Yeah,
he's going to be playing with a mask and a broken nose and stuff. Like,
yeah,
surely it'll affect him a bit.
I mean, the one thing is like when you do that step across, the one of the key components is not looking at the man. You have to make it look like, oh, I didn't know who was there. I was just stepping across. So there couldn't have been any malice in it. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't like looking at him like I'm gonna fucking drive my shoulders.
Break his orbital bone.
He's a massive dude. Rudiger's a huge dude. So he stepped across him and his face, because he was leaning forward running and he collided with this. I mean, I don't know. It was a pivotal moment of the game though. 60 minutes and he goes off.
Yeah.
The funny thing is though, instead of bringing on Aguero to be up front, they bring on Jesus instead.
But again, like that is insane.
Yeah.
Just on the fact that that's how football works. Of course, Aguero is going to score if you bring him on. Has Pep never watched football before?
And then the next substitution he made was Fernandinho, who came on.
Yeah.
With Aguero still on the bench. It's like, you should have started Fernandinho or brought him on at half time, but like,
Yeah, not now when they're chasing a goal.
So yeah.
I like the idea of Pep looking at the bench and being like, Aguero, Jesus, Fernandinho. He's like, Fernandinho?
Get out there. Get out there. What are you doing there? Yeah. I don't know, man. It's just like, because the last thing against Everton, it was like they brought him out on the pitch and the guard of honour, and it was like, the greatest player ever of a club. And
we can never replace him.
All right, now make way to the bench. We'll bring you on late in the second half, and you might get your chance to break the record.
They literally replaced him in the Champions League final.
And then people were saying like, oh, well, maybe he was saving for the Champions League final. That's why he didn't play him in that record-breaking game. And then he doesn't play him. He brings him on at a similar time. It's like, so what? Whatever we'll park the Champions League final for a bit. Whatever we can accept he messed it up on many levels. But then in the last Premier League game, what a dick move to a meaningless game for City to not, and when there's a record at stake to break, you don't start him.
Yeah.
Why? And like the one we said about like Iheanacho was like the only player to score on every single day in a single Premier League season. It's like, I mean, I guess it's a unique record, but it's not really one that you'd think, that's.
Yeah.
But like the most goals for a single club is like a legitimately like impressive record. It's like that's one that you would want to get. And he started on the bench.
And not only did he start him on the bench, he actively played people he was playing in the Champions League final instead.
Yeah, I mean, I just think, if you're Pep, that dressing room, is a lot different than it could have been. if he'd gone out and lost that Champions League final, just playing the way they played in the last few games, that's sport. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
But between the Aguero kind of weird disrespect, then all the players are seeing those gushing interviews. It's like, all right, that's, again, if you win, you don't really think about those things. But like when you lose, think, yeah, and what about that last game? Anybody who was friends with Aguero, anybody who was friends with Fernandinho, like that's how you get factions in dressing rooms. I just think it could be a very different dressing room than people might think in the Man City. You think, well, they won the league. It's like, well, there's a lot of things that they didn't like.
Yeah. They won the league ages ago. Since then,
yeah,
loads of things.
What have you done for me lately, Pep? Huh? You lost me the FA Cup. You lost me the. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, like it's kind of focusing on how bad Pep was or how much smarter I am than Pep, and that's true. But like, you have to keep your hat off to Chelsea and Tommy Tuchel, Tommy T. What a turnaround!
And you can't forget Lampard.
As much as we wish we could, we can't forget about Frank Lampard. I've never heard a manager spoken about so much after he's been sacked.
Yeah,
and like
sacked in disgrace because
like time is a flat circle. We know this. Anybody who watched True Detective season 1 and marveled at its glory knows that time was a flat circle. It's a strange, like, reoccurring thing in Chelsea's history of the the shades of 2012 are very much there. You sack your manager, you get a new guy in, and then you win the Champions League. It's very strange, but the comparison kind of ends there because, like, when AVB was sacked, everyone's like, yeah, he wasn't good enough. It happens all the time. Now we move on. But like when Frank was sacked for not being good enough, and now you move on, it's like, yeah, but like he did manage the team at the start of the season, so you have to give him some credit. Like nobody gave AVB credit. No one gave AVB any credit whatsoever for that Champions League win.
Especially our man Frank Lampard,
who was involved in the
job
team.
Was too big.
Job
was too big for him.
Nobody mentioned AVB afterwards, but we can't stop hearing about Frank Lampard, and it is obviously the English bias. It is because he's a legend of the club and all that, and he has connections to the club, and you can't really talk about Chelsea in the modern day, like since the Abramovich era that started with Lampard and Terry and all those boys. He's kind of synonymous with the club, so you can't really ignore him. But like in terms of this season, I've never heard of a manager so much that's been sacked. But it's rare that they go on to win anything. That's the difference, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, it's a purely English biased thing. But like, and at the start of the season, I was the same. Like we were thinking, oh, there's just too many players come in. So like it's going to take time to bed them in. Like we saw it with Spurs and they brought in those 7 players. You can't make that team work in one season. But Tuchel has just managed to get them all playing well. And we did mention before about like the Mourinho style of management, where you just ostracize some players to teach the other players a lesson to see who's in charge, which doesn't work anymore. Seemingly, it hasn't worked for Mourinho in any of his last few jobs. It didn't work for Frank either. But Tuchel brought back in Rudiger, who I at the start of the season said was limited. He had another great game in the semi-final.
Unbelievable.
The assault aside, he did have a great game. He probably started for Germany at the Euros, which you wouldn't have said at the start of the season.
No, yeah, definitely not.
Someone like Alonso, who he brought back in, who isn't as good as Chilwell, but like it's the kind of foresight to say this is a long season. There's a lot of games, and when it comes to it, I'll probably pay Chilwell in the biggest games, but like he was fresh for that game. He wasn't out on his feet after playing whatever 60 games. He was flying up and down that wing. He was creating chances. And that's the essence of man management, that you use players in games that you don't need to use your best team.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you manage the season, I think you'd have to go to Thomas Tuchel all in all. I mean, maybe not Premier League manager season, but like to manage a squad that size and to work with, players like Alonso or Rudiger. I mean, Kante was one that people said he was finished.
It was past it, yeah.
In January, he was like, there was rumours of him being sold, because it was like, you can only run around the pitch at that pace for so long. There's a lot of miles in that clock. Seemingly not. It was just kind of Frank Lampard didn't know how to use Kante. The man that, the man and a half midfielder, Frank Lampard didn't know how to use him. But yet, he still deserves some credit. I think all the credit goes to Tuchel. And, I guess it's like you say, it's a great problem to have. Oh, I have too many good players, I don't know what to do with them. But it's still a skill in management, so fair play to Tuchel.
Pretty scary as well, because Chelsea aren't the type of club like United and Spurs have been guilty of it. When they do well, they'll go, savage, we don't have to spend. This club is sorted.
Yeah.
Like, we're flying it. Chelsea always improve, so they're going to have even better team next year.
I think is there something about Tuchel? He was speaking to Abramovich now, and that's triggered pay increase and a longer contract. So,
I wonder, knowing how Chelsea work, when it triggered the thing, were they like, fuck, shit.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this is the manager. They're forever manager. Maybe they found the one in Tuchel.
That'd be insane. There's no way he'll come fourth or something and he'll be gone.
Yeah, it's
just how Abramovich works. Like, it's the what have you done for me lately? Like, really lately. I mean, last week.
It's a good system though. To be fair, they've won a lot.
Yeah, it works.
I was thinking about this though. Like, the story is, like when he watched the Real Madrid versus Man United and he scored Ronaldo scoring those 3 goals or the 4 goals ever did, and it's like, oh yeah, that's what I want. And the Champions League, because that's where he watched that game. That's kind of always what he wanted. He still hasn't really got that. Like, the 2012 was a complete anomaly. Like, that was like a team that was totally past their best, and Drogba and Terry and a few more of them willed them all the way at that final.
Yeah.
And then this year, it's like Pep fucked up so badly that they were able to catch them on the counter. But they didn't have the best team. It wasn't a complete outperforming of another team to the point where the opposing fans applaud how good you are. And that's how you win the Champions League. It's a great team with a great talent, but like, he still hasn't found, I think, what he's looking for in terms of like the Galacticos football of just like awe-inspiring stuff. I don't think he still has that with Tuchel.
It's like, he's even this Galacticos Chelsea team for like most of the season. You're like, I don't know about Timo Werner, and I don't know about Ziyech. He seems injured a lot.
Yeah.
Whereas like the old Madrid Galacticos was like, they're like something out of a fucking Goal movie or something. It was just
like
Figo to Ronaldo to
like Zidane to Ronaldo to Figo to Raúl. Like, it was a serious team, and it just cut teams apart, and that's how they won the Champions League, but just like killing teams. Like, with this Chelsea team, no one expecting to go this far. Again, that's how he's won it, like as an underdog. Like, Roman Abramovich does not like to be the underdog, I would say. I think he wants to just like bask in my glory, which is not how it's gone again. So you might think, Abramovich is finally happy now. He's won the Champions League twice. I don't think he is. I think he's still looking for that. Like, he would rather have had Man City's team.
Oh, definitely.
That kind of Foden and Mahrez down those wings, like just destroying teams. That's what he wants all along. And it's the thing, like, money, like just having the money doesn't buy that. It's hard to kind of create that.
Yeah.
That kind of a style in a team.
That City's whole thing was that they were building for Pep for years.
Yeah.
Like preparing for him to come in and then spending when he did come in. But what do you do after Pep?
Well, what do you do now if you're Man City? Obviously you don't get rid of Pep, but like, that was the moment. That was the moments to do it.
That was the one.
And
like, even if he does it next year or the year after, it's like, fucking took you long enough, mate. You've bought. Did you see how he spent like nearly 900 million since he got to City?
Yeah.
And they had one shot on target in the Champions League final.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't good.
No.
And like, if you think of back in like 2011 when he won that one against United, if you were to say then he won't win one for another 10 years, you'd think, I wonder what happened to him. But he's been.
Is he alive? Is he okay?
Yeah, that's what you think. Something drastic happened. Not that he managed Bayern Munich and Man City, and that he just couldn't get over the line. It seems bizarre, and like, I know it's kind of obviously it's not easy to win, because I've seen loads of graphics on Instagram of like the teams that have won over the last few years, and like, he is up there with. There's not many managers who've won it multiple times.
Yeah.
Like, you have Zidane, obviously, the 3 in a row. You have like Jupp Heynckes won it with Real Madrid in like 97, and then again with Bayern in 2013, 2012, 2013. So that's one of the biggest gaps. The rest, like, it's a good team you have. Like Ancelotti won it a few times, AC Milan. Like say Zidane, but like in terms of winning it multiple times, like it's not an easy thing to do. It's like to win it multiple times years apart. It's like you're very, very small amount of managers do that. So it's kind of easy to say, "Oh, Pep, what's happened to you?" But it's hard. It's a hard thing to do. It's over different generations, over different styles of football. It's it's not easy to do. So I don't think it's finished, but I think it's a huge disappointment for everyone at Man City to not win that final because you were just massive favourites.
Yeah. And like this seemed like a year where all the best teams weren't up to their best. Like there was no PSG, Madrid kind of dropped out, didn't win their own leagues and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen next year. I think next year everyone's going to be back flying on top, which makes things way harder for City again.
Yeah, like we're saying, you always need a bit of luck in the Champions League. Like if you go back to any season, they'll see a team that lost that shouldn't have because they're missing their best player. This year, you think you have Lewandowski and Mbappe for PSG and Bayern respectively. Like it happens every year, but you need that luck to go your way, to win it. Like it was all there. All the stars had aligned, all the money, all the work in the youth to produce a player like Phil Foden at this time, at this place. It was all there, and then you drop Rodri and Fernandinho for only the fourth game of the year. Because I don't know why. Because maybe that loss to Chelsea in 2012, where where Messi scored 1,000 goals that year and somehow missed the penalty against you by hitting the crossbar. That's fucked him up to the point where he can't, I have to manage for every possibility. It's like, sometimes you have to trust the team. Like, if any of those a year to trust the team, this was the year. Like, they were by far the most informed team in Europe. He overthought it. He overthought it again. But yeah, it was a good night for us. Anyways, I got, like I say, it's a great night, and I got to watch the game later on because it was bank holiday. So you had to had to do it myself. Other than that, then we had the Euros coming up. That's next. The Champions League would usually be kind of the end of the year, and I don't know what we would do, but this year we have the Euros to look forward to in the 11th. Yeah. So in 10 days' time, we have the Euros.
Imagine being those players. Like, you have to be, even the most, like, I want to win everything player has to be like, fucking hell, another tournament already.
Yeah.
Give me a break. I'd say even Ronaldo is like, Christ, 10 days.
Yeah. Well, for those Chelsea Man City boys, I guess 11 days or so. For the others, they've had a bit of a break. For Halil Akbanar, it's been a while since the Turkey season ended. He's fighting, Will. He's fighting for that last Turkey spot. I think they have. I think they're only going to drop 3 players. I think they have like 30, I think they brought a provisional score of 30. So only 4 players miss out. So for anyone who isn't aware, Turkey have started their friendlies. I think they have 3 friendlies before they, cull the last 4. Halil Akbanar started against Azerbaijan. I was training, so I didn't get to see the game in full. I came home after training. I was in the shower, and then I was like, "Oh no, the Turkey Azerbaijan game was on." So I rushed out of the shower to get a stream on my phone, and I tuned in, and there's this man being carted down the sideline in a stretcher, and I didn't even know it was Turkey or Azerbaijan. I just didn't see, and I was like, "Where's Halil Akbanar? When's he starting?" So I checked the team on whatever, on Sky or whatever, and it was he'd been taken off. I tuned in just to see Halil Akbanar being carted down the sideline, and I thought, oh my god, talk about bad luck. But
our favourite player, another player cursed by us,
but he was back amongst the substitutes for the next game against Guinea, I think. The game the country that Pogba's brother plays for.
Yeah, I think that is Guinea.
Yeah.
I believe.
So two tough opponents for Turkey in the warm-up, Azerbaijan and New Guinea. Papua New Guinea, I'm not sure. But he was amongst substitutes, didn't get on. I don't know if again, I didn't see that game, so I don't know if he just named the substitutes or was he actually there.
Right. It
was an ankle injury that done him in, which aren't good. It's not a huge, quick response time, but he's still, I think he's an easy one to drop. if you have to drop 4, you drop 1 injured guys, surely.
Yeah. One of the injured guys who doesn't play as well.
So we'll see. I can't tell if you play well against Azerbaijan. I didn't get to see it. So
Well, the thing is, for us, we're like, oh, that is a tragedy. Like, that could not be any worse. I would say for the Turkey team, they were like, phew. It was Akbanar that got injured, like the one we weren't playing. That's why he played that game.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're still waiting with bated breath to see what happens with Halil Akbanar, see if he makes the team, see if he recovers, see if he makes the final squad. It's looking unlikely. I'd have to say it's looking unlikely. But we'll stick with him till the bitter end. In other news, with the Euros anyways, we have the fantasy game. It's up and running. The fantasy league is up and running. You can win.
App.
It's on the app. It's on the Euro 2020 app. There's a jersey of your choice. Any team at Euro 2020 at stake. Just enter it. You win that. You beat us. You know, we'll send the jersey out to you. So it's a good prize. You know, it's pretty decent, and it's good fun. I mean, honestly, it makes the games more interesting. Like some of the games, you know, like whoever North Macedonia are playing in a group game, you mightn't really care. But if you have one of their players playing as a right back, you know, it could be a clean sheet in it for you. You know, so it does make it more fun. Yours is the best. International tournaments are the best, anyways. Like the knockout international are the best fun. So,
and because the groups are so short as well, it's not like it's 3 games done on to the next.
Yeah,
every game is so important.
So the month of June and some of July, you know, it'll be great to follow that, and you'll have the game to keep you interested, and we can interact with each other. We want to hear from the fans. We want to hear, do you care about Turkey at all, or any of that stuff? A little bit of feedback would be great. So I mean, yeah, get involved. There's something at stake. It'd be a bit of crack, and yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. 10 days, we'll get into that. I think this week we're going to do our homework. Now we're going to do some research. We're going to give a full breakdown of the Euro 2020 teams. We're going to see players to watch, ones to watch, any rumours, any juicy gossip, all that good stuff. I'm not sure what we're going to find.
I have a feeling there will be a lot from the England camp.
Oh yeah,
as always.
There'll be some definitely fall from the England camp. I mean, the French camp is surely a tinderbox ready to go off with Ben's men there.
No, honestly, that is nonsense. Nonsense. All nonsense. But listen, I've been on that road before.
Chelsea. Chelsea.
Nonsense. Fucking nonsense. Why should we accept somebody talking nonsense? Like, what would you say? Just why are you talking nonsense about us? Why are you talking rubbish?